Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Friday, the 1st of November already, 2019.
Commissioner Villegas, Garcia, James, and Davis are present. President James, you do have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Pamela Ostrander, Streets LA.
Good morning, Daniel McKay, Bureau of Sanitation.
Good morning, Mike Cirillo, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, George Espindola, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we do not have any speaker cards under general public comment. We also do not have any commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section. No speaker cards were received for any of the items for today's agenda as well.
I've got some cards here.
I was not aware of that.
I'm sorry, I might have missed something. Do we have a street lighting representative today? Okay. Let's close general public comment as well as the Neighborhood Council category of commentary. I know that...
And what speaker cards do you have before you, Mr. President?
What?
What speaker cards do you have before you?
I've got Arnold Sachs on all items.
On all items. Okay, great.
Yeah.
We will enter that into the record.
Yeah. So we'll close general public comment. I'm told we do have a representative from Street Lighting here this morning. All right, thank you. Mr. Jordan is around. I've already met with him once this morning, so he will pop in a moment. Is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the meeting of Friday, October 25th, 2019 by Commissioners Davis, Villegas, and Garcia? Any objection? Without objection, we will do that. And by the way, Mr. Sachs, are you here for general public comment? Mr. Sachs for general public comment? Okay, he's not here. So that will close general public comment. Agenda item number 6 is a stop payment notice, or is a release of a stop payment notice for RJ Lalonde Equipment Incorporated. They transmitted the release of a stop payment notice in the amount of $13,056 for furnishing heavy equipment rentals in connection with the San Pedro 3rd Street Relief Storm Drain Project. The primary contractor is Mike Bubbalo Construction Company Incorporated. Is there a second to my motion that we approve? Mr. Sachs, you want to speak on number 6? We're in the agenda item, so come on up.
Mr. President, I will take this opportunity to apologize for my tardiness.
No problem. I spoke for you, Ted, and told people I'd already met with you once and that you were just around the corner.
No, you know what? I will pass on this one.
Okay, you've got others. I've got the others.
I'm assuming you did public comment.
I did. Agenda item number, is there a second to my motion that we approve agenda item number 6 by Commissioners Garcia and Villegas? Any objection? Without objection, we will approve agenda item number 6. Mr. Sachs, if you want to be heard on general public comment, we'll do it now. All right, we'll recall general public comment. Come on up. I saw the disappointment in your face and just can't let it go by. Go ahead.
I apologize for it. I was just over. I'm not sure how they're running these things. They're running me ragged, but do you need to reopen it to?
I reopened it to hear you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So I've had a tough couple of days. Last night I got my wallet stolen, but I was in Beverly Hills and I picked up a newspaper and I was going through it and there was a story about an art patron who was talking about a director who found a statue in Germany with a lion's head on it. And she went on to say that the item was like 7,500 years old. And I'm thinking about that, and I'm thinking, lion's head in Germany. So what happened to the people who created the object? It was made out of gold, by the way. What happened to the people who created the object? And there were lions in Germany. This is the middle of Europe. Whatever the country would have been called, there were lions in Europe. So what happened to the populations that were living in Europe at that time? You know, you look at some things, you read it, and some people look at some things and just read it and go on. I have a tendency to read things and see it a different way. And so it doesn't make me any stranger. Somebody says potato and somebody says potato. It doesn't make them any weirder. It's just what it is, as they say. And so if there were lions in Germany, maybe there was a different population. Maybe there was I don't know. You can't call dark-skinned people Africans if they're living in Europe because they get their name from the continent, evidently, and whoever named the continent named the people. It's just how you perceive things. I'm just, I don't know, blessed, cursed, that I read some things and I see some things, and it just makes me ask a lot of questions. I was brought up to ask questions. And sometimes you ask good questions, and sometimes you ask bad questions. But if you don't ask, you don't know.
2 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. So that will now close general public.
Thank you, sir. I
Yes, sir.
appreciate it.
That will now close general public comment. Agenda item number 5 is the release of a stop payment notice for Orange County Windwater Works. Say that fast 10 times. Orange County Windwater Works is transmitting a release of stop payment notice in the amount of $29,423.10 for furnishing miscellaneous pipes and fittings in connection with the San Pedro 3rd Street Relief Storm Drain Project. The primary contractor is Mike Bubbalo Construction Company, Incorporated. Mr. Sachs on number 5.
So thank you again, Arnold Sachs, for the record. And I'm going to have to go out and buy what's the hardest metal for a helmet? So 2 questions. Why is, I know they had a time when they were looking to do contracts, keep them locally for businesses. But why would Orange County, and is this construction company from Orange County? And because LA has a construction authority or construction building, union building for construction right here on the 110 freeway close to downtown, and a lot of stuff happens where Orange County trade and construction industry gets a lot of the contracts that the city presents, the county presents, the metro presents. They all seem to flow through the Orange County Building and Trades Association. What the hell happened to the LA County Business and Trade Association? If you want to find out about getting work in LA County, why don't you ask the LA County Trade Association where the hell they're hiding? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Is there a second to my motion that we receive agenda item number 5 forthwith by Commissioner Garcia? Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 4, our specifications have been submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids. This is in Council Districts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 14 for the Vision Zero Phase 2D, as in dog. The estimate's $8,867,313, and the bid receipt date's December 11th, 2019. Mr. Sachs, you have a card in on number 4.
I do indeed. Thank you again, Arnold Sachs, for the record. This Vision Zero stuff, if you close your eyes, you have Vision Zero because you can't see anything. There's things that have been done around the city, downtown, with the bollards and the bicycle lanes that block people from, can you believe this? They block people from parking so that the city can collect revenue from meters. So people actually park between the bollards so they can park for free in a lot of the restaurants that are located in downtown. And you wonder, why would the city claim we're short revenue and yet create situations where they allow revenue not to be collected? That's Vision Zero. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Herman, on number 4.
You heard it. Why this magnitude of misappropriations of public funds? Not only are you in disagreement with me, but you're depriving the public of what is owed to us. $30 million a year to fix our sidewalks and streets and our infrastructure. But you continue to misappropriate not just this piggy bank, but the general fund And then you have this recycling thing going on with the way you circulate the monies to hide your criminal activity. Who's the terrorist now? Who's bringing this world down? Terrorist organizations within itself. And the gentleman that spoke before me is very right. Why do you continue to steal public funds? Why do you continue to lie and make allegations that our format as public speakers is something you don't want to hear? What do you have to hide? It's apparent. There's no transparency. So what do you engage in? Criminal activity like Wesson Jr. III, Justin Wesson, who took monies from a developer, meaning got free rent. Well, the rest of you put people out on the street. Shame on you. Shame on any one of you who sits on a committee to let this happen. And then you want to tax us for services on infrastructure? For the record, Mr. City Attorney, Woolits versus Los Angeles, on the record, I plan to bring a lawsuit against this committee for denying us that service of curbs and ramps and safe sidewalks, as I reported at 500 West Temple Street at the County Board of Supervisors where I get off the bus.
Two
Thank you.
minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Herman. Is there a second to my motion that we adopt agenda item number 4 forthwith? By Commissioners Caloza and Garcia. Any objection? Without objection, that'll be the order on number 4. Agenda item number 3, personal services contracts, pre-qualified on-call bridge, civil engineering, and other design and support services consultants. Recommending that the board, and let me read through this, approve and forward this report with transmittals to the mayor, requesting that he approve and authorize myself or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute the personal services contracts between the City of Los Angeles and the pre-qualified on-call bridge, civil engineering, and other design and support services consultants who meet the requirements for the projects with federal funding. Again, that's with federal funding. The consultants will provide as-needed services for various public works projects. The 30 pre-qualified on-call bridge, civil engineering, and other design and support services consultants are as follows. And Dr. Campos, are you know, we're going to have to go through and, assuming this is approved, and do the random selection of the 30. Do we have those numbered out or written out yet?
I do. I'm ready for you.
Oh,
Yes.
look at that. Great. Thank you. So let me go ahead and read through these. AECOM Technical Services, referred to as AECOM. Arup North America Limited, referred to as Arup, A-R-U-P. Atkins North America, referred to as Atkins. Cornerstone Structural Engineering Group, that's Cornerstone. David Evans and Associates, that's the DEA. Doken Engineering, DR Consultants and Designers Incorporated, that's DR Consultants. EW Moon Incorporated, EW Moon. EXP Services, U.S. Services, EXP. Gannett Fleming Incorporated, Gannett Fleming. Harrison Associates, Harris. HDR Engineering, HDR. H&TB Corporation, H&TB. IDC Consulting Engineers, that's IDC. Jacobs Engineering Incorporated, Jacobs. JM Diaz Incorporated, JMD. Kimley Horn and Associates Incorporated, that's Kimley Horn. Kleinfelder Incorporated, Kleinfelder. KPFF Consulting Engineers, KPFF. Mars Services, that's M-A-R-R-S, that's Mars. MGE Engineering is MGE. Michael Baker International Incorporated, Michael Baker. Moffitt and Nickel. And then Parsons Transportation Group Incorporated, that's Parsons. Prescience Corporation, Prescience. SOMAS, and that's P-S-O-M-A-S. STV Incorporated, STV. TY Lin International, that's TY Lin. Tetra Tech Incorporated is Tetra Tech, and WSP USA Incorporated is WSP. Secondly, requested the board randomly select the names of the pre-qualified on-call consultants to create the initial PQOC Bridge, Civil Engineering, and other design and support services consultants list for use in the future assignments of work. And we have our representative this morning who's presenting on this item, Ms. Lau. Hi. Thank you. Oh,
Morning.
before you do, I'm sorry, Shirley. I've got 2 cards. Mr. Sachs, on number 3.
Yes, thank you again. For the record, Arnold Sachs. Personal services contract. Do we know who owns these companies? Do you realize, I mean, if you're familiar with the marijuana initiative that went through, and if you actually paid attention in the newspaper, you would notice that the mayor is on the board of Mad Men. The ex-state attorney is on a commission for marijuana delivery or something. Everybody who is in elected office got their fingers in marijuana. Everybody. No big deal. So who in elected offices would have their fingers in some of these consulting services? I'm pretty sure that Mark Ridley Thomas owns probably half of these. Anybody realize that he's one of the wealthiest people in not just California, but in the United States? It's amazing how much money he has. And it's amazing he's getting a lot of money from the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, because his insurance company is the one that's getting the premiums from the government. But enough about that. You have Mars here. Do you have Venus? And I see you have David Evans and Associates, DEA. Well, DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency. It's how you look at things, and you never know. If you don't ask, you never know. Ask some questions. The worst thing that can happen is to say, boy, you sound stupid. Rather sound stupid and ask a question than be right and not ask. So I'm really concerned about a lot of these personal services contracts. I think a lot of them are owned by the same person. That would be Mark Ridley Thomas. He's trying to take control of the city. He needs to be stopped.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Mr. Herman on number 3.
Wow, this print is horrible, and the lighting is just as bad. I can barely read this agenda. But item 23 for the record, 09-1225, Squire, S-Q-U-I-R-E, Patton, P-A-T-T-O-N, LLP for the record, Mr. City Attorney, has engaged in your process of illegal misappropriations of why we're paying outside counsel thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to represent the city of Los Angeles in this so-called personal service contracts. Again, Squire Patton, P-A-T-T-O-N, LLP, which was an agendized item 23 in City Hall Council chambers. So, support service consultants. Here's one. Why is the city still paying $500 to $800 an hour for outside counsel when you have jackasses, attorneys in Mike Fear's office who've been stealing from the public? What about all those referrals Mike Fear did and he got caught in the LA Times? It doesn't end. Corruption, abuse, waste. And now I'm being deprived of my free speech because when I use intensifiers or if I raise my voice, I'm a threat. So you spend all these monies, city monies, on TROs to eliminate me from participating in a program under the ADA Title II and Title III, which I will and shall represent as an individual with disability. So as long as you continue to discriminate and
2
be
minutes.
prejudiced, I will succeed eventually. Fuck you.
Thank you, Mr. Herman. Ms. Lau on number 3.
Good morning, Shirley Lau with the Bureau of Engineering. In November 2014, the board approved the current list of pre-qualified on-call bridge and civil engineering consultant contracts used for federally funded projects awarded to the city. That list is set to expire later this month, and due to federal rules that the on-call contracts used for federally funded projects cannot exceed 5 years. Therefore, BOE needed to establish this new list presented in this report before you today. So on October 12, 2018, the board authorized the city engineer to advertise and issue the request for qualifications for this list on a pre-qualified and as-needed basis. The RFQ was advertised and also uploaded to the Los Angeles Business Assistance Virtual Network, LA Bavin, 301 users downloaded the RFQ from the LA Bavin website. 31 consultants submitted their statement of qualifications on December 5th, 2018. Those statement of qualifications were rated by a panel from the Bureau of Engineering, Bureau of Street Services, LADOT, and also Caltrans. And we generally set the criteria that is similarly used and suggested by Caltrans. A short list of 30 consultants were selected, and the interviews of the firms were not required during that process. However, when we issue task order solicitations in the future, the city staff will interview firms for qualifications. During the review of the 31 submitted proposal originally submitted, one firm provided a non-conforming proposal, and so they were deemed non-responsive. And so based on the panel's rating and also Caltrans' review of the consultants' indirect cost rates and their federal cost principles, Caltrans also approved those 30 consultants, and that approval is within the project files. So the Board of Public Works Personal Services contracting policies have been followed for all of the 30 firms. There was one firm, as of the date of the report, October 25th, one firm did not comply with all the requirements. BCA and BOE staff worked with this company to bring them into compliance, and so as of today, November 1st, that company has submitted. So all 30 firms are in compliance. Businesses are encouraged to locate or remain within the city to preserve and enhance economic base and well-being of the city. Consultants, they did do a self-report of the information of their staff who lived and resided in the city of Los Angeles. However, that information is not considered in the selection process. The tasks that will be issued under this contract will use federal funds. So we are following the U.S. Department of Transportation requirements for the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, DBE, participation. Respondents were required by the RFQ to either pledge to meet the DBE participation goal of 8% that was set by the city and approved by Caltrans, or submit documentation of their good faith effort outreach to meet the goal. So Office of Contract Compliance and BCA, they've also reviewed the outreach documentation and found 28 consultants complied with the requirement to meet the 8% goal. The remaining 2 consultants, they revised their DBE subconsultant pledge because after the SOQ was submitted, their DBE, one of the DBE subconsultants, they lost their certification in the process. However, Caltrans local assistance staff, they confirmed that the requested change may be allowed, and so BOE and BCA staff are recommending that all 30 consultants be placed on the list. Therefore, the Bureau requests the Board to consider and approve the recommendations set forth in this report, and so I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have on this report.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lau. We'll start with Commissioner Davis.
Ms. Lau, I wanted to find out who were the 2 firms that had some challenges in the process?
For the DBE, it was WSP and KPFF.
Okay, thank you.
And Ms. Lau, are these are 5-year contracts that we're entering into?
Yes, they are 5-year contracts.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Anybody else have any other questions? Then I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 3, seconded by Commissioner Davis, so we can start getting the work done. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 3. Any issue sending number 3 forthwith? We'll send number 3 forthwith. So that will move us to the point of the random selection of the order in which the work is to be distributed. Dr. Campos, you told me you have everybody in the envelopes?
I do have all 30 names in the envelopes, and I will have a rating sheet that I will distribute to all commissioners, and if your commission is okay with it, I'd like to nominate Commissioner Villegas to draw the names.
Although I typically stay away from having a commissioner. Have we done commissioners?
We've done,
we
yes,
did
we have.
Commissioner Cabello before. Commissioner Villegas, you're it.
But if you prefer, we can
Unless
we can have our city attorney draw the name if you'd like, or
If Commissioner Villegas is okay with it, then Ted tells us it's okay, then we'll have our newest commissioner do it.
It is okay for a commissioner to do this.
great.
He said it's fine. All right, Commissioner Villegas. I'm sorry? Yes, so that's a good question from Commissioner Villegas. So, Ms. Lau, you could explain, we go through this with our pre-qualified on-call lists. Would you explain the purpose of the random order? That's how work is assigned, and then if they pass on it, then we go to the next person. Would you just go through that explanation for the record?
Yes, so that's typically how the Bureau of Engineering does it. However, for this federal list, we do establish the ranking, but we do issue all the task orders to BAVN to all 30. So we don't assign the work unless there's an emergency case or unless it's a certain threshold, like 100,000. So typically, we do issue the task orders through BAVN to all 30 consultants. However, during times of emergency, if needed, we will do it according to the rank. And this establishes, correct, this establishes the order. Yes.
Which assignments will be given.
Yes. Thank you.
So let her go in.
All right, so we're going to start with the random drawing.
Tetra Tech.
So Tetra Tech is number one.
Number 1, Tetra Tech.
Okay.
Michael Baker International.
Baker's number 2.
Cornerstone Structural Engineering Group.
Cornerstone Structural Engineering Group is number 3.
Somas.
Somas is 4.
And this is Pre-Science Corporation.
Pre-Science Corporation is 5.
AECOM Technical Services.
AECOM is 6.
Moffett and Nickel.
Moffett and Nickel is 7.
EXP US Services.
EXP US Services is 8.
KPFF Consulting Engineers.
KPFF is 9.
Gannett Fleming.
Gannett is 10. Gannett Fleming.
Kimley Horn and Associates.
Kimley Horn is 11.
David Evans and Associates.
David Evans is 12. DEA is 12.
Somas.
I've got Somas as number 4. We're looking back.
Yeah, we have 2.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so pull that aside so we'll see what we're left with. But that one Somas 4.
We may have to, Mr. President, if there is 2 duplications of SOMAS, I'd like to hold the drawing for right now, go back and open up all the slips just to make sure which one was duplicated, if
Okay.
any. I do have 30 slips here, so that means there is one missing firm in here. So if it's okay with this commission, I'd like to take a pause or break, go back and double check, making sure that we have all the names correctly, and then come back.
Go for it. Take a quick recess while I consult with Mr. Jordan. Okay, well, returning from our recess, Dr. Campos, you'll let us know what the problem was that we resulted in two somas, because I have a question. Oh, yeah, okay, I got it. Go ahead.
So Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, going back through all the numeration and all the names on the tabs, we were missing MARS, M-A-R-R-S Services Incorporated. We had a duplication of SOMAS entered twice. We had a total of 30 tabs. 29 of them were unique, and the last one was a duplicate for SOMAS, and the one missing was for MARS. Recommendation for this board is to allow me to go back and print out a new tab for MARS services and then remix them into a new drawing pot and then start the drawing all over again from the beginning.
Probably best, Mr. Jordan, I would ask, although we could have SOMAS is listed as number 4 and then put MARS in the next one, but who's to say that MARS wouldn't have been number 4? So for that reason, I tend to agree that we should start over. What do you think, Mr. Jordan?
So replacing number 13 with MARS, instead of SOMAS, it would be MARS.
That's the other option.
That's another option.
Yeah,
yes.
actually, I think what you were suggesting is that we just redo the entire drawing, starting with
That's what I
number 1.
suggested.
I would agree
That was
with.
what
Yeah.
Dr. Campos recommended
I think
as
that's
well.
the better course of action.
2 days.
I mean, if you want, it seems like we could just,
Yep. It was flawed when we started.
Yep.
All right, so Dr. Campos, you've confirmed now that we are ready to go with the 30 again?
Yes.
And we don't have any duplicates?
We do not have any duplicates. What I could do is the second SOMAS entry, what I can do is line that out and then replace with MARS, or if your board would like, I can go back into the printer and just reprint new tabs for
No,
everyone.
you're going to wad them up anyway, so just scratch one of them out and put Mars
Okay.
on there and wad them all up and put them back in the envelope.
Great.
Sorry, everybody. Especially numbers 1, 2, and 3.
Mr. President, as staff had indicated, the bulk of the work on this on-call list is actually done pursuant to a task order solicitation process for
Yeah.
all of the members of the list,
All 30
regardless
of
of their order. There are instances where it's a very small task or it's more of an emergency where we do look to that numerical order, but most of the projects, and certainly the significant projects, are done with the task order solicitation to the entire list. So in those cases, where you rank on the list doesn't make any difference.
So we are ready to have the drawing again. We'll start from the beginning. We'll have Commissioner Villegas draw the ballots, the tabs, and we'll start from the beginning.
Number 1.
EW Moon,
Moon is number 1. Number 2.
JM Diaz,
JM Diaz. JMD is number 2.
Kimley Horn and Associates,
Let me find it. Oh, Kimley Horn is number 3.
Michael Baker International,
Michael Baker is number 4.
Arup North International, Arup North America,
Arup North America is 5. Now we're on to number 6.
Prescience Corporation,
Prescience is number 6.
Somas,
Somas is number 7.
Dokken Engineering,
Dokken
Dokken.
Engineering is number 8.
Gannett Fleming,
Gannett Fleming is number 9.
MGE Engineering,
MGE Engineering is number 10.
IDC Consulting Engineers,
IDC is number 11.
STV Inc.,
STV is number 12.
Kleinfelder Inc.,
Kleinfelder is number 13.
EXP US Services,
EXP is number 14.
Cornerstone Structural Engineering Group,
Cornerstone is number 15.
Jacobs Engineering,
Jacobs is number 16.
David Evans and Associates,
David Evans is number 17. Now we're on to number 18.
KPFF Consulting Engineers,
KPFF is number 18. Now we're on to 19.
WSP USA,
WSP is number 19. On to 20.
Tetra Tech,
Tetra Tech is number 20. On to 21.
Parsons Transportation Group,
Parsons is 21. 22 we're on to.
Harrison Associates,
Harrison Associates is 22. Now we're on to 23.
AECOM Technical Services,
AECOM is 23. Now we're on to 24.
Mars Services,
Mars is number 24. Now we're on to 25.
DR Consultants and Designers.
DR Consultants is 25. On to 26.
Moffett and Nickel.
Moffett and Nickel is number 26. Now we're on to 27.
HDR Engineering.
HDR is number 27. Now we're on to 28.
Atkins North America, Inc.
Atkins is number 28. Now we're on to 29.
TY Lin International.
T.Y. Lin is 29, and I know who number 30 should be.
HNTB Corporation.
Correct. Okay, so we have our order that checked out with everybody. It checked out with my list as well. So that will be the order forthwith. Thank you, Ms. Lau.
Thank you.
Commissioner Villegas. Thank you, Dr. Campos. That takes us to our next agenda item. Thank you, Mr. Jordan, as well, for your counsel there. Agenda item number 2 is a tree removal. Council District 5, 5031 Alonzo Avenue on North Zelza Avenue, recommending that the board find it under the California Public Resources Code, Section 21166, and the state's Environmental Quality Act guidelines, Section 15162, on the basis of substantial evidence contained in the whole record, that since the city's prior certification of the mitigated negative declaration, that's the M&D, the case numbers in the agenda, there have been no changes to the project, changes with respect to the circumstances under which the project is being undertaken, or new information of substantial importance concerning the project, which cause new significant environmental effects, or a substantial increase in the severity of previously identified significant effects, and therefore no subsequent M&D, supplemental M&D, or other analysis is required for the project. Secondly, specify that Streets LA Urban Forestry Division, located at 1149 South Broadway, is custodian of the documents or other material that constitute the record of proceedings upon which the board's decision is based. Number 3, review and approve the fee tree removal permit request for 4 Canary Island pine trees, those are not protected trees, for driveway installation. Tree replacements are required. And 4, concur with Streets LA determination that the site cannot feasibly accommodate all of the required replacement trees, that would be 8, and pursuant to Los Angeles Municipal Code Section 62.177C, and authorize the tree replacement guarantee fee to satisfy the board's tree planting requirement. On number 2, Mr. Herman on number 2. Mr. Herman on number 2. Mr. Herman on number 2. Mr. Sachs on number 2.
Yes, thank you. Again, for the record, Arnold Sachs. By the way, the story that I read about the lion head symbol was in Larchmont Chronicles from November 2019. But they have a letter in here about some trees that were removed on Larchmont Circle. So my question actually is what happens if the trees are removed illegally? Is there any recourse? Say a developer removes the trees anyway, and, oh, you know what? Meant to get a permit, but I had to do this and I had to do that in my tennis game and whatever. Is there any recourse? Is there any, I don't know, debarment for that company from the city for doing business in this city, as far as having the opportunity to build new units? What is the penalty if you illegally remove a tree so that you can construct a new home or a new building or new apartment? The city seems to have all these rules and regulations about what you need to do, but they never really follow up and tell you what happens if you're the public. But they never really tell you what happens if you're a contractor or a large developer, or you've paid a city councilman to approve a project, what happens to the public? How is the public reimbursed, or how is the public made whole if you go ahead and just ignore the rights and responsibilities that come with building that development? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. And I have Tony Romo, it looks like R-O-M-O, Tony Romo? Good. I've heard of another Tony Romo before. Other people have heard of another Kevin James before, so.
Well,
Welcome,
I'm not
sir.
that Tony Romo that you're thinking about. This is a really pretty meeting room, by the way. This is my first time here, City Hall.
Welcome.
Thank you. Okay, I'm a homeowner. I live across the street from all these trees. There's 22 trees on Zelza Street, and I don't know how many Crespi wants to remove, 4, 8, or all 22 of them. And
Crespi wants to remove 4.
okay. Came here to ask that you would approve their permit to remove these trees, and I'll explain why. I've lived there at that house for over 50 years. I mean, I grew up there. And the trees that are affected are right in front of me. And they have adversely affected our quality of life. So all the residents of Zelza Street are annoyed with the trees. And I'll explain why. They are not really maintained. I have a couple of trees in my backyard, and I got to prune them. They're large trees. They need to be pruned every year. And occasionally, the city will come out and prune them. If I request that they be pruned, sometimes they come out and sometimes they don't. I guess they have a budget. They collect pollen, soot, dust, and it's constant droppings of dead pine needles. And there's a lot of pine needles that stay up in the branches, and it represents a fire hazard because they're just dead needles. These trees are very dry. Usually we get a lot of pine needles all over the place, all over the street, all over my driveway, all over my back porch, right after rainstorms and right after windstorms. They have
2 minutes.
begun to,
Sir, you need to wrap up in 30 seconds. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, what was that?
You have 30 seconds to wrap up.
Oh, okay. Anyway, the trees are going to collapse. We had one collapse in February of 2015. It broke up some brickwork on a house and some ironwork. It missed the house, but eventually all these trees are going to collapse. Okay? I think if Crespi is willing to remove these trees, it's going to remove the liability from the city. The city needs to prune them. Street sweepers need to come by. If it's not happening, then I think it's a good opportunity that let a private school remove them.
Time.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Banuelos, on number 2, I understand from the board report that the council office supports the tree removal application from Crespi Carmelite High School. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, good morning, President James, Commissioners, Bureau Representative, City Attorney Dr. Campos, Hector Banuelos of the Streets LA Urban Forestry Division. The Streets LA is requesting that the board approve a tree removal permit request for 4 Canary pine trees growing at 5031 North Alonzo Avenue on the Zelza Avenue side. This is a Crespi Carmelite High School, and it's bounded by Santa Rita Street to the north and has Zelza Street to the rear of the property of the Alonzo Street. The site has approximately 22 Canary Island pine trees, mature Canary Island pine trees growing along the Zelza Avenue side, of which 4 are going to be severely impacted by proposed construction of 2 driveways. The driveways are necessary in order for the school to access a aquatic center as part of the development, and the swimming pools, which is another segment there of the campus improvements. Adjacent to the driveways are also installing a sewer line and a 4-inch water main is going to also affect the trees. So they initially wanted to remove 7 of the 22 trees. However, with the Streets LA determined that there was no need, no justification to remove 3 of the 7 trees, and therefore are only considering the removal of 4 trees for the installation of 2 driveways and the sewer and water main installation. The 2 driveways needed. 1 driveway is access to the northern part of the aquatic center. It's there's a grade elevation change, a difference of about 5 feet 9 inches. And so we questioned as to why they needed 2 driveways, and we're informed that according to the design and all of the infrastructure needed to construct the pool, the aquatic center, there needed to be a grade difference. And so therefore, the driveways can't access, 1 driveway cannot access the aquatic center and the pools, so it has to be 2 driveway entrance. One of the driveway entrances on the south end is needed for first responders in case there's any incidents occurring at the pools. They have direct access to the pool areas. So therefore, the need to remove the 4 trees has been requested, and we're recommending that the permit be approved for that.
So public safety element, because we have young people in the pool, obviously.
Yes.
Access.
Yes, for access directed to the pools. Yeah, that's correct. And the northern driveways is direct access to all the pool equipment and the need to maintain all the pool equipment. If approved, the applicant is going to plant 3 Canary Island pine trees along the Zelza Avenue side just to maintain consistency and the character of the neighborhood. On the Santa Rita street side, there's opportunity to plant 1 tree of a different species. There's the Brisbane box, and then another tree up in front of the address there on Alonzo Street. There's a vacant site there for an opportunity to plant another tree as well. So in order to meet the board's 2-to-1 requirements, they're required to plant another 3 trees. However, there's no room on the site, and therefore we're requesting that the board allow the Streets LA to implement the tree planting guarantee fee. The Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, the Community Forestry Advisory Committee, and the Council District 5 were informed of the tree removal permit request. And,
Thank you. Now, I would only add, anything else, Hector?
yeah, the applicant's also going to be watering the trees also for a minimal period of 3 years.
Okay. And like I said, in addition to being notified by the council office, as the board report indicates, the council office supports it as well. I know this has been in the hopper for a while, and there's a lot of interest in this moving forward. I don't have any questions. I don't see any, so I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 2. Second on number 2 by Commissioners Davis and Caloza. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any issues sending number 2 forthwith? We'll send number 2 forthwith. Crespi can get on with their project. Agenda item number 1, the Council District 4 Contract Amendment number 2 and the second renewal option. This is the Far East Landscape and Maintenance Incorporated, that's contractor, for the Wilshire Miracle Mile Sidewalk Maintenance District, recommending that the board first approve the board report by the Bureau of Street Services to exercise and execute the second option to renew the contract with Far East Landscape and Maintenance Incorporated to continue providing sidewalk, curb, gutter, and receptacle maintenance services for the Wilshire Miracle Mile Sidewalk Maintenance District for a not-to-exceed amount of $127,533 from today, November 1, 2019, for the next year to October 31, 2020. Secondly, authorize myself or 2 members of the board to execute contract amendment number 2 for these services after approval as to form by the city attorney has been obtained. And 3, authorize the director of Streets LA to issue the notice to proceed and process any other related documents. And Ms. Shelton, we have you here on number 1, but before we do that, Mr. Herman on number 1, Mr. Herman on number 1, Mr. Sachs on number 1. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, thank you again. For the record, Arnold Sachs. And so I looked at this and I wrote some notes here. Wouldn't this be better served taking this in front of like the neighborhood councils? The Miracle Mile Sidewalk Maintenance District. You just heard the gentleman talk about some trees on his street. Maybe this should get a maintenance district for the streets. Or maybe even a business improvement district. It's surprising that you have all these organizations, neighborhood councils, the business improvement district, the maintenance district, and yet they're not actually involved in having the item heard before them, and then it should go to the city council member whose district it is, and he essentially should be able to approve it. I mean, that is the way the city councils work. It's their district. The city councilman will approve or negate whatever he feels like approving and negating. There's stories about how they need to get letters to build projects for low-income housing, and if they don't get the letter, they're not going to approve them. There's all kinds of different loopholes you have to go through. And then this part form by the city attorney. I wish the city attorney would look into what constitutes hate language versus free speech and get over the idea of worrying about a form. We have a city attorney sitting over in city council who doesn't know what his left hand is doing from his right hand. If he wants to run for mayor, oh my God, let him come out and say, you know what, we have free speech and we have hate speech. They're not the same. So, and there's not a form for that. It's a common sense thing. And the other part of that is you can get a form at a 5 and dime store. You need to have a content in these contracts. But we've said that before, and I appreciate you having me speak before you. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Ms. Shelton on number 1.
Okay, good morning. My name is Monica Shelton first, and I'm representing the Bureau of Street Services. And I'm here today recommending that the board approve contract amendment number 2, which will be the final amendment for this contract. And it is for the Wilshire Miracle Mile Sidewalk Maintenance District and Council District 4. And the period, as you mentioned, is from November 1st, 2019 to October 31st. Once this is approved, it is our goal to start the next bid and award process for the next contract by the expiration date of this contract. And on September 10th, 2019, the council did approve the funding for this project through the property assessments. Do you have any questions?
No, I would only add a couple of comments. I know that this contract is very popular with the Miracle Mile homeowners associations in the community there. This is something that they are always keeping their eye on, and so we've got one more contract extension on this. I would recommend that we take it as we're doing. So with that, I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 1, seconded by Commissioners Garcia and Villegas. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 1. Thank you, Ms. Shelton. Have a nice weekend. Yes, Ms. Ostrander, then we'll go forthwith on number 1. Agenda item number 7 is our Streets LA oral report regarding our update on work that's being done around the community this weekend. Welcome, sir. Oh, one moment. Mr. Sachs, to the extent he has any time left, is up on number 7, and he's gone. So go ahead, sir.
Good morning, President James, Commissioners, Rural Representatives, City Attorney, and Executive Secretary. I'm James Duncan, Superintendent of one of the superintendents of Streets LA. In order to keep the public informed on the upcoming resurfacing projects and to minimize the impact to the community as well as delays to the commuters, Streets of LA would like to provide you with an update on the major upcoming streets improvement projects. The following projects are scheduled in the Metro resurfacing region. On Saturday, November 2nd and Sunday, November 3rd, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., we will cold mill and pave Main Street from 2nd Street to 7th Street using funding from our pavement preservation program. This project is in Council District 14 in the Downtown Neighborhood Council. And then on Thursday, November 7th and Friday, November 8th, from 6:30 a.m. to 3 o'clock p.m., we will cold mill Venice Boulevard from Normandy Avenue to Western Avenue. And Saturday, November 9th, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., we will pave the same Venice Boulevard from Normandy Avenue to Venice to Western Avenue. Using funding from our Complete Streets program. This project is in Council District 10 within the United Neighborhood of Historic Arlington Heights, West Adams, and Jefferson Park community. The following projects are scheduled in the Valley resurfacing region. On Saturday, November 2nd and Sunday, November 3rd from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., we will cold mill and pave Parthenia Street from west of DeSoto Avenue to Canoga Avenue's East Service Road. We'll be using funding from the Pavement Preservation Program. This project is in Council District 3, Canoga Park Neighborhood Council. Then on Saturday, November 9th and Sunday, November 10th from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., we will cold mill and pave Sepulveda Boulevard from Camarillo Street to Ventura Boulevard using the Pavement Preservation funding. This is in Council District 4 in the Sherman Oaks Neighborhood Council. The press releases were broadcasted and notifications have been issued. Streets LA has coordinated with the council district's offices to assist with the outreach to the stakeholders, and we have also coordinated with Los Angeles Department of Transportation for traffic control assistance. This concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. We'll start with Commissioner Davis.